waiting so long. When's it going to be? When's it going to be?
Most football rivalries, fans argue. In this one, police plan routes, families divide, and grudges last generations. You don't need trophies to make hatred long-lasting. You don't need a Champions League or a global brand. Sometimes two places, two ways of life, and two stubborn crowds are enough to turn football into a war you inherit. This is one of those wars. From the first breath, these cities were set to clash. Portsmouth grew up as a naval town. Ships, dockyards, sailors, the smell of salt and industry. Southampton grew up as a commercial port, trade, business, expansion, and ambition. That difference sounds small on paper, but it shaped how each city saw itself. When your neighbor smells different, pride quickly turns into insult. When jobs, money, and status feel limited, rivalry becomes survival. Football didn't create these feelings. Football weaponized them. When clubs carry a city's name, each result becomes a headline, and every brag becomes a story told at work on Monday morning. For generations, kids learn the songs their fathers sang. They learn who to hate before they understand the rules of the game. This isn't chosen hostility, it's inherited. Because Portsmouth and Southampton have so often lived in different leagues, their meetings are rare. And because they're rare, they explode. Years pass without a league fixture, and when one finally arrives, it feels like a pressure valve that's been closed too long. That's why every meeting matters more than the table suggests. In 1984, long before modern policing and wall-to-wall television coverage, that pressure burst into the open. Portsmouth and Southampton met in an FA Cup semi-final at Highbury. Southampton won 2-0, but the football barely tells the story. Clashes between supporters before and after the game hardened attitudes on both sides. For many older fans, this was the day the rivalry stopped being local dislike and became something darker. Distance plays its part too. These cities are barely 20 miles apart, close enough to work together, close enough to marry into each other's families, close enough to resentment to thrive. Insults become personal when your rival might be your neighbor. Even the language of rivalry cuts deep. Southampton fans are called scummers. Portsmouth fans are called scapes. The origins are disputed, exaggerated, argued over, which only keeps them alive. Names matter here. They always have. This derby is not polished, it's raw. For generations, the two cities simply didn't mix. As one fan noted, people from Portsmouth often would never go to Southampton other than to watch Pompey. It's like an alien world to them, even though it's only a short drive. Another Pompey fan put it bluntly, the rest of Hampshire repudiates Portsmouth. Might as well be the county town. Portsmouth fans bristle at being seen as part of Hampshire at all. There is genuine pride and resentment banked into local culture on both sides. Even family members rarely support both teams. You pick one city and you can't change sides. When these clubs meet, the authorities prepare as if for a high-risk event. Away fans travel under strict escort. Coaches move in police convoys. Stadiums rely on heavy segregation and detailed safety planning. This isn't about glamour. It's about control. Modern history gave the rivalry its most personal wound. In 2004, Harry Redknapp left Portsmouth for Southampton. To many Pompey fans, this wasn't a career move, it was betrayal. His time in St Mary's was short, chaotic, and poisonous. The reaction from Portsmouth was fierce. The reaction from Southampton was defiant. Years later, Redknapp admitted he regretted the move, a confession that still gets replayed like a trophy in one city and a scar in the other. The matches themselves supplied fuel. In January 2005, Peter Crouch scored a last-minute penalty for Southampton against Portsmouth in the FA Cup. To Saints fans, it was ecstasy. To Pompey fans, it was unforgivable. Portsmouth answered later with a brutal 4-1 win at St Mary's during a cup run that ended at Wembley. These weren't just results, they were stories. And stories are what this rivalry feeds on. Then came the years that reshaped everything. Portsmouth collapsed financially. Administration, points deductions, relegation. Southampton rebuilt, rose, and returned to the Premier League. One club fell apart while the other surged forward, and every step of that contrast was watched, mocked, and remembered. Pain and pride rarely forget each other. Players who crossed the divide became symbols, not just footballers, but walking arguments. Some, like Mick Channon, a Southampton legend whose career ended at Portsmouth, were rare exceptions, treated with respect rather than rage. Most weren't so lucky. You also need to understand the strange shape of this feud. It isn't constantly broadcast to the world. It doesn't live permanently in primetime television slots. That absence protects it. It keeps it local, and it keeps it vicious. Social media ensures the rivalry never sleeps. When the teams are apart, fans still watch each other. Group chats light up, memes circulate. A rival's defeat in another competition is celebrated like a cup final win. The feud stays alive because the fans refuse to let it die. In the 2025-26 season, fate pulled them back into the same league. The South Coast Derby returned to the championship. The build-up lasted weeks. The policing was heavy. The tension was visible. The first league meeting at St Mary's ended goalless, but the score didn't matter. The pauses mattered. The tackles mattered. The noise mattered. Old songs returned. Old arguments resurfaced. And the wait for the next meeting only made it heavier. Ask a Portsmouth supporter and they'll talk about Navy pride, dockyards, and working class defiance. Ask a Southampton supporter and they'll talk about trade, ambition, and a city that always looked forward. Both will tell you the other side is arrogant, lazy, or opportunistic. Both will laugh at the other's suffering. Both will swear they're the real heart of the coast. Today, the rivalry only simmers hotter. Even when the teams play in different divisions, nobody forgets the other. Online and off, supporters monitor each other's results with schadenfreude. Every defeat is celebrated. Every promotion by one sets the other's teeth on edge. One Pompey fan jokes he won't even buy a pint made by Southampton sponsors. Internet message boards and social media keep the feud alive 24/7. As one writer puts it, Southampton and Portsmouth just don't really mix. Despite their proximity, fans here consider the other city almost alien, depending on which side of the River Hamble you live on, your Saints or Pompey. Outsiders might think it's strange, but locals know it's just part of life on the south coast. There's no grand trophy at stake in this derby, and that's what makes it so pure. Other derbies often come with bragging rights over silverware. This one is fueled by heritage. It's built on history and geography, on being neighbours who must share a corner of Hampshire without sharing identities. Fans would sum it up. It's the perfect derby because we're far enough apart that people aren't really mingling too much. Other derbies, they might be intense on the pitch, but those people live next door to each other. We're close enough to feel very local. Generations wear this rivalry like a family name. Children learn the chants before they can even read. Grandparents retell stories that keep old insults alive. On match days, streets change colour, pubs choose sides, and ordinary conversations become loyalty tests. People marry across the divide and carry silent resentments into new homes. Local businesses profit from it. Artists, musicians, and graffiti writers turn it into culture. Because the cities are so close, nothing stays small. A celebration in one town is felt in the other. A defeat lingers longer. What might be forgotten elsewhere becomes a memory that defines a year. This is not glamour. This is not theatre for the world. This is raw. This is inherited. This is Portsmouth versus Southampton. Pompey or Saints? Who owns the tie? Tell us which side you're on in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, and remember, in this rivalry, neutrality doesn't exist.